Hey guys, DJ Jack back with you here once again with another video. And going back to my video about television and what you call it, radio. Apparently part of my video was correct and part of it was where there was some part of my video was correct and part of it there were some errors. Excuse me. Part of it, yeah, was right, part of it wasn't. So let's talk about it. Television, well, 90% of people owned televisions back in the 1960s, but in the 1950s and 1940s, only 9% of people owned television. So it was not, television wasn't very common in the 50s to from the 40s to the 50s, but by the 1960s more people started watching television. Radio was more popular between the 50s and the 40s and the 30s and 20s, but by the 1960s people started watching more television. Even though there weren't a lot of channels, there were still people started buying more televisions, because in the 50s there really wasn't any that many channels either. But people, well, not only 9% of people owned televisions, of Americans owned televisions back in the 50s, 40s, and 20s and stuff, and people mostly listened to the radio. But by the 1960s, most people owned televisions by then, and television became more common in the 1960s. But in the 50s and 40s, it wasn't very common. Radio was more focused between the 20s to the 40s to the 50s. But by the 1960s, television started coming in. But teenagers did actually listen to rock and roll from the 50s to the 60s, back in the 1960s on the radio. Radio was very common for teenagers of rock and roll, which is really interesting. Besides that, I'm DJ Jack. Hit that subscribe button. We'll talk later.